In Chapter 4 of Dr. King's book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community, titled The Dilemma of Negro Americans, Dr. King has an analysis of the African American family and the issues that have impacted it. I think it's greatly done. I think the ideas are solid, and I have not agreed with Dr. King on everything in this book. I've said that we've had some intellectual sparring matches, but on this point, I do think that it's solid, and I wanted to share it with all of you. This is how it starts. Because the institution of marriage has been illegal under slavery, and because of indiscriminate sex relations, often with their white masters, mothers could often identify their children, but frequently not their children's fathers. Moreover, the women, being more generally in the house and charged with the care of the white master's children, were more often exposed to some education and a sense, though minimal, of personal worth. Hence, a matriarchy had early developed. After slavery, it persisted because in the cities there was more employment for women than for men. Though both were unskilled, the women could be used in domestic service at low wages. The woman became the support of the household, and the matriarchy was reinforced. The Negro male existed in a larger society dominated by men, but he was subordinated to women in his own society. The quest of the Negro male for employment was always frustrating. If he lacked skill, he was only occasionally wanted because such employment as he could find had little regularity and even less remuneration. If he had a skill, he also had his black skin, and discrimination locked doors against him. In the competition for scarce jobs, he was a loser because he was born that way. His rage and torment were frequently turned inward, because if they gained outward expression, their consequences could be fatal. The Negro father became resigned to hopelessness, and he communicated this to his children. Some men, unable to contain the emotional storms, struck out at those who would be least likely to destroy them. They beat their wives and their children in order to protest a social injustice, and the tragedy was that none of them understood why the violence exploded. The shattering blows on the Negro family have made it fragile, deprived, and often psychopathic. This is doubly tragic because nothing is so much needed as a secure family life for a people seeking to rise out of poverty and backwardness. History continues to mock the Negro today because just as he needs ever greater family integrity, severe strains are assailing family life in the white community. Delinquency is not confined to the underprivileged. It is rampant among the middle and upper social strata, and more than one observer argues that juvenile delinquency is a product of widespread adult delinquency. In short, the larger society is not at this time a constructive educational force for the Negro. The dark side of the picture appears to make the future bleak, if not hopeless. Yet something says this is not true. Back on the coast of Africa, mothers fought slave traders fiercely to save their children. They offered their bodies to slavers if they would leave the children behind. On some slave ships that are known, and many that will never be known, manacled Negroes crawled from the holds and fought unarmed against guns and knives. On slave plantations, parents fought, stole, sacrificed, and died for their families. After liberation, countless mothers wandered over roadless states looking for the children who had been taken from them and sold. And finally, in the past decade, mothers, fathers, and their children have marched together against clubs, guns, cattle prods, and mobs, not for conquest, but only to be allowed to live as humans. The Negro was crushed, battered, and brutalized, but he never gave up. He proves again that life is stronger than death. The Negro family is scarred, it is submerged, but it struggles to survive. What are your thoughts on this topic? Let me know in the comments section below.